How you doing? I think I'm live. I'm just checking audio, video, making sure things are right. You're not up yet. Hang on 1 second. Come on. Start sending. Come on. What's going on? Nothing's working. Anybody there? I'm not seeing that we're live. It's not showing that we're live. Oh, here we are. It's not showing that we're live. Oh, here we are. It's not showing that we're live. Oh, here we are. It's not showing that we're live. Okay. One is up. I guess we're going to have to go for it. We're only on Rumble, as far as I can tell. It might just be taking a while to catch up on YouTube. Trying our first multi-stream. If you would like to make a comment, I will try to respond as I can, time permitting. We have a guest today, and I am Big D. Welcome to the show. Our guest is John, aka Propane. I'm going to bring him in now.
Hello, everyone.
How you doing, John?
All right, Big D. How you?
I'm doing pretty good. Had last week my very first show. We had YouTube that would pop up, but not Rumble. This week we have Rumble, not YouTube. I don't know if multi-streaming is my forte yet, so
Well, you got to keep trying it.
it's kind of odd. I did tests on both of them yesterday. Private tests. They both work, no problem. And I figure I'd try it again. So I am definitely new on Rumble with this show. I was on Rumble for a couple of years after I left YouTube because of being suspended. And then finally they took the show down with thousands of subscribers. I tried to pull them over to Rumble. Fortunately, it didn't work out the same way. Trying Rumble again and YouTube. Both are DJT Militia. We talk usually about the Biden regime, Donald Trump. My opinion, probably the best president this country's ever had. It's hard to judge when you haven't been in the era of other presidents, but from what I've seen and what I've heard in the past, what other presidents have done, I think I speak for a lot of us.
Well, Big D, I'm sorry.
What's that, sir?
I didn't want to interrupt you there, but sometimes I heard this saying that telling the truth doesn't pay.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah,
Sometimes it gets you in a lot of trouble.
but you have to
And,
do it.
Donald Trump's telling a lot of truths, and that's why I think he's in the trouble he's in, and now running for a third presidency. Some believe he's not our commander in chief, and it's hard to prove that he is our commander in chief. But many truthers believe still is. He's commander in chief. He's just not the president. Someone's sitting in there right now in that seat. Are they screwing up the country as we all see? Yes. Why can't the commander in chief do something about it? Well, I think there might be civil unrest if that happens. The other things that we do talk about on the show are silver. I'm definitely a silver fan. If you like gold, definitely stop in and talk about to see what we have to talk about, because de-dollarization is happening. The Brics nations. Um, I also talk about Brics nations along with John here, and definitely world news and much, much more. Now, if you don't know what the Brics nations are, it's Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Those are the main ones. Many countries have jumped on board over the last few years. The Brics nations has been around for years. You might just have started hearing about them because of what they're doing, and that's right now they're very close to having their own currency, and when that happens, and I say when it happens because it looks like a definite. The de-dollarization will probably crush the United States to make it so there is no more dollar. That's not just my opinion. That's what's going on in the world, and many of even the newscasts are discussing that. So, if you don't mind, like I stated, this is a new show. I need your support. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification for all. And if you do, you're going to get the updates of when we have a new show. New shows I'm trying to make it so it's every Saturday, 2 Eastern Time, 2 p.m. So preferably, if you subscribe, those notifications go out, I believe, like a day in advance, or because of when I set up the shows, about somewhere around 24 to 48 hours. And I'm going to try to getting everything set up. I usually run or try to do research on more than one show. And whatever one I get the most information of, I'm trying to get it at least before Friday afternoon. So you should have the updates of when the new show is, and that there will be a show late afternoon on Fridays. But I'm trying to make it so it's 24 to 48 hours. We'll see how that works out. Now, today's show, de-dollarization, the U.S. economy, even some information possibly about Trump today. So I'm going to start with J.P. Morgan Chase. The CEO of J.P. Morgan Chase is Jamie Dimon. He is concerned the U.S. economy could be in for a repeat of the problem that hampered the country during the 1970s. I think we've already surpassed that, but changing different things of how inflation are manipulated. One, they removed energy, they removed housing, and they removed grocery from the equation. And by doing that, those are the three main things that people are concerned with when it comes to money in their pocket or not in their pocket. Now, JP Morgan, he says he thinks there's a chance that could happen again. And he said during an appearance Tuesday at the Economic Club of New York, the economy is in trouble. It's in trouble for the last so many decades, which constrained by stagflation, a combination of low growth and high inflation. And Dimon such said it's a risk again. You and I, we don't have to see numbers, because when you go to the store, the gas station, you all see it. There's no secret here. Janet Yellen, she said it was transitory. She said it was temporary. Well, I don't think she can deny going forward of where we're at. And her trip to China only a week or so ago, there's a lot of discussion about that. Why did she go there? Well, she discussed silver in electric cars, silver in military use. There's hundreds of ounces in a one missile. So that's a lot of silver going out, not including solar panels. The solar panel boom that this country is ever since the Green New Deal has gone through the roof. I'm not sure about how you are, but your area right now, I have three major solar panel fields. One is huge. It's got to be a few hundred acres, if not more. You can't drive by it and actually see the whole thing. You would have to actually drive the property with, like, say, a little four-wheeler or something to see how massive it is. There's another one that's probably half that size. That one driving by, kind of, they left it hidden. There's a lot of overgrowth in the front, but you could see a little bit of it. You go down the side street and around the back side, you can see how massive it is. Those solar panel farms, those are causing more problems. Well, that's at least what the researchers are saying. You could do your own research and find out if I'm correct or not, or if they are correct, at least the researchers that I've had a little information from. And that is they produce heat. Silver, along with the sun, along with how the panel is designed, actually produces heat. So, one, global warming. I would think that this sounds like an on purpose type scenario, but that's my opinion. Now, they also produce radiation. I have not seen enough research to be able to tell you if that's high enough to cause any kind of issues, but there are researchers that are going forward with an actual lengthy research process to find out if that's going to be the issue. I mean, back in the day, we had issues with high voltage power lines. You know, don't have a home so many miles from a power line station, or because of the radiation that those put off. There's a lot of issues going forward because of the use of solar panels using the amount of silver that's available. Silver has been creeping up a little bit, and it was nearing $30 an ounce. Some say that they saw it creep over $30 an ounce and then back down. I did not see that. I saw a report that it showed that on a graph, but nothing that I was watching as a real time ever even made it to that. Now that I look back, I really thought it was because of what we were told.
I was passing out the tissues at that point.
Yeah. That it's just terrible, man. We have so many things going on in this country that people don't realize. Our dollar is, in my opinion, just about worthless. If you look on some of the government websites, they show you a graph of what our purchasing power is, and that's what inflation dictates, or I guess gives you an idea where inflation is, and it's at 3.7 cents. How is that not crashed? I think when you got anything anywhere near the bottom like that, you could say that is crashed. But that's what I believe. Now we have Japan issues a strongest warning yet on the readiness to intervene in currency market. There are many countries right now that have very strong economies, um, mainly because of oil, maybe a precious metal, maybe it's diamonds like South Africa. Now the BRICS nations are they have well over 50% of the world GDP now. And for them to have that along with trying to create their own currency, that will crush the rest of our dollar. Again, that's what has been told, and that's why I'm just relaying it to you to be prepared. How to be prepared? Um, one, you can only be prepared for so long. Who's got enough water? Who's got enough food when it comes to canned and maybe some ramen noodles that might last a month or two before it goes bad. Canned is probably the best way to go unless you have enough fuel to run your generator and keep your freezers going and your refrigerators going. Some people say using or stockpiling junk silver so you can take a dime and then you'll be able to buy something when the dollar's worthless. And if the dollar's worthless, what happens to the banks? The banks that have full of American dollars, I'd say that's probably not a good thing to our economy and our jobs. Banks with what when you get paid, you get your money through the bank. When you go to a grocery store, you probably use your debit card to purchase those groceries. What's going to happen when those banks fail? And they have been failing. If you've been watching, you've only been given a very small amount of information about what's going on with the banks because Janet Yellen doesn't tell you what's going on. And you probably haven't been told that there are banks that have not been bailed out. You know how everybody thinks you're covered to 250,000 FDIC, I think it's called. And then if it's a bail in, which that is a lot different than a bailout when the government steps in and says, okay, we'll take care of everybody. That's a bail out. The bail in is when that company, whether it be your money, a company's money, those monies are going to whoever possibly takes over that bank. I think uh, Bank of America, I think they took over part of one of the banks that went down. And by the end of 2023, they lost billions of dollars.
Yes. And they're not going to give you a heads up in that situation. That's for sure.
Nope, they are not.
That's a definite report after it's already done.
Yeah, it's scary to think of what's going to happen.
Sorry, folks, your money's gone.
Yeah, it took me 2 weeks, and I don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars in a bank account. It took me 2 weeks with applying for my money. They say we don't have it. How do you not have it? Isn't this a bank? You have a bank vault where all the money's at? Nope. We get money brought in every day, and then sometimes we have to have it taken away. Okay, I'm not understanding. I remember, bank vaults at every bank that used to. Well, back when I was in the '60s and '70s, most of the banks around my area they had bank vaults. I guess that's not how it works anymore. They get money brought in and taken away, depending on how much money they got to have on hand for daily use. So Japan says, I won't deny that these developments have laid the groundwork for Japan to take appropriate action in the currency market, though I won't say what that action can be. They're very secretive about this. The fresh warning came after the dollar rose to 154.85 yen, its strongest level against Japanese currency since 1990. Keeping markets are on heightened alert for any signs of intervention from Tokyo to prop up the yen. The United States, Japan, and South Korea agreed to consult closely on foreign exchange markets in their first financial dialogue last week, acknowledging concerns from Tokyo and Seoul over their currency's recent sharp decline. The rare warning for the three countries' financial chiefs, which was inserted in a joint statement after their meeting, was seen by some analysts as Washington's informal consent for Tokyo and Seoul to intervene in the market when necessary. To me, that means the United States dollar could take a tank again. But that's how I read into it. Some people read it into it a little bit differently than that, but that was just my consideration. Let's see. So, confiscation of Russia's assets in the U.S. would supercharge de-dollarization. De-dollarization is one thing that I have been watching very, very closely. That means countries aren't using the U.S. dollar in the manner that it used to. We had a deal with countries that if they sold their oil and only received the U.S. dollar, we would protect them. That's why you see a lot of things going on, like what we see with in Ukraine and Israel and things like that, where we're sending money, we're helping them with weapons and things like that. That's because we have deals, some sort of deal out there here and there about we'll take care of you if you just accept only the U.S. dollar. A lot of countries were brought down by the United States, and a lot of times you were told it was because of they have mass weapons of mass destruction, or they're consorting with terrorists. They are terrorists. They blamed different things on different countries, on different organizations. Because a lot of organizations, they'll take blame for something to get a little acknowledgement around the world that there's someone not to mess with. ISIS, Al Qaeda, those kinds of things. Wait until more information comes out about 9/11 that was on U.S. soil. Maybe if it ever does. It's hard to talk about that kind of stuff on YouTube because they don't like to allow you to say it without giving you a little ding. And I don't want to, just as soon as I start a channel, to be squashed down. So analysts are pondering the effects of the approval of the Rebuilding Economy, Prosperity, and Opportunity, which is the REPO Act by the U.S. House. The execution of seizures for over $6 billion of Russian assets held in the United States institution would supercharge the de-dollarization efforts of several nations. This is due to the possibility of their having assets seized followed any disagreement with the United States policies. It's just kind of odd how, companies or countries or whatever, they want to have their money here so it's an easier transaction. And when they do, the U.S. decides if they want to just take it. Sounds like a theft to me, but I could be wrong. Now, experts weigh in on the effects of Russia assets confiscation supercharged the de-dollarization. The recent passing of the Rebuilding Economic Prosperity and Opportunity Act by the U.S. House has opened the doors to a possible confiscation of over $6 billion of the Russian money by U.S. institutions, which were, from what I understand, are more than one bank. Now, these negative opinions on the bill and its effects are not only coming from abroad. The Heritage Foundation, a conservative Republican leaning think tank, has warned about the dangers of giving this kind of power to the Biden administration. Yeah, we give Biden any more power. Well, his administration, I should say. It's not him. He's got some issues that he's dealing with now, and I don't think he's coherent enough to even know what to do with that kind of money. Let's see. Now, because of the de-dollarization, also the inflation of this, what this country is into right now, day one, 17 executive orders placed by the Biden administration. All of it has affected this country. I'm surprised it's taken as long as it has, but the housing boom that just it went crazy. People putting their homes up for say $200,000, and then they're taking bidding wars for $220,000, $230,000, $250,000. That's $10, $20, $30,000 easy on top of what their asking price is. Where do people think that they would want to spend more than what someone's asking? But it was working. It seemed like there wasn't enough homes to go around for the amount of people that needed a home or decided, hey, this is time to buy, even though interest rates were going up. It made no sense to me. I would never have bought a home because of the interest rates alone. Maybe I was spoiled because of getting let's say, a loan that was low interest. It wasn't a lot of money, my first home, but some people get the low interest rate and then they went with an adjustable mortgage. So if the interest went down, then you got a lower monthly bill. If it went up, now you have a more expensive bill. But now there's two states where home prices are falling because there are too many homes and not enough buyers. It's kind of a twist on what happened only probably right around 1.5, 2 years ago to maybe 3 years ago. So these states is Florida and Texas that has too much supply. Now that's information coming out of redfin.com. The states accelerated construction to take advantage of the pandemic era demand, but many are now priced out, while Florida rising insurance costs are pushing down demand as well. Many of the insurance companies that were in Florida, they bankrupted themselves out of Florida. And from what I understand, there are only 6, and I could be wrong, but that was the report that I looked up. How many insurance companies there are actually in Florida? And you would think that there's got to be 100 different insurance companies, but there were only 6 that I found on the list. And now it pushes the insurance costs through the roof.
Another scam.
Yep. I had a friend that his home was totally destroyed. And this is about 1.5 years ago, the major storm that went up through the Panhandle, and then in about middle of the Panhandle area around, what's that called? Near Tampa area, just south of Tampa. I think it was just south of Tampa, where many homes had to be they have to be replaced, but there's not enough construction companies. that are actually able to do the work. So his home is still what he has no home. He had to he got a FEMA trailer, and it's probably a mile or two from his house. So it's not that much of a problem. He can go back to the home. It's not that bad off, but there is a huge hole in the roof, and the amount of water that went through there, it's pretty much a demolition now. But the whole area has to be brought up with a certain amount of soil before they can do anything else, and they're talking years before that can happen. I don't know how anybody can wait for something like that, but I think he's about ready to lose the FEMA trailer as well. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with that, but he's already been paid for the home. It's just that he can't even have a company come in and build it until it's raised up. And I don't know if you can just raise up one home when the next home is only 100 feet from your home. It's in a development. It's probably even less, if I remember correctly. It's probably only 50 feet. So how do you raise it up so many feet that they're requiring, and then build your home while everybody else's home is, lower level? I think in my area, you can't put dirt in an area of your backyard if the neighbors is lower, because it would have water runoff, and I guess they don't want that. That's an odd situation as well. But it is a major problem down there for insurance companies. A lack of U.S. housing has fenced off most would-be buyers, but two states are dealing with the opposite problem: an overflow of homes. If you ever seen some of the homes down there, they're not really nice, and they're still asking $200,000-300,000 for them. Just a normal ranch home. I'm like, who was going to do that? Who would buy that? And then what would be the insurance on something like that? Probably more than the average person can afford. I know the apartment. If you're apartment hunting in my area, you're not an average person that I know is not going to be able to afford an apartment. These people cannot leave their apartments that they're at, paying say $1,200 for an apartment, and then find another one because they're like 2,500, $3,000, and it's unbelievable. I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but in my area is not. I would say an area that is where everybody wants to live. to me, it's a nice area, but when it comes to things that you want to do, it's not like you're gonna have any kind of travel. It's not a place that you want to travel to and say, oh, there's some nice palm trees and beach and that kind of stuff. It's nothing like that. But is it a nice little town to live? And then now that Micron's coming in the area, they're building only a mile from my house. Hopefully, my house will be worth a lot more money. It has gone up ever since the first dig, if you want to call it a dig. They haven't really done hardly anything there. But there were some developments of testing purposes and small areas being cleared um, for their testing of the land, because they're going to require a huge amount of water that's going to be needed, a huge amount of power supply when this is finally completed. But also, they're going to need housing. So something that's a mile away, and they make it sound like it's going to be definitely an area where your home is going to be worth a lot more. But when no one has money because of de-dollarization, and the money that you're going to have in your pocket is worthless, even worse than it is now, I'm not sure what's going to happen.
Now, last week, when you had the show on that, I believe you said that the comment section was turned off. I was going to ask you, um, has there been any talk about installing such a plant? Is there any impact going to happen to the environment with that kind of manufacturing?
They say that they're going to take every precaution because, like I said, they're talking about pulling a huge amount of water, and there's going to be some waste, not just some, a lot of waste. And they say they're going to take every precaution to make sure none of that is going to contaminate the water going back.
Okay.
I don't know if that's truth. To me, I don't. I mean, what kind of complex is going to take care of the water to make sure it's not toxic in any way, or by heavens forbid, even radioactive, but
Yeah.
or something like that would cause cancer and go back into our drinking water.
Because if you look back, if you look back in time and you look back at any of the big cases that concerned environmental disasters from companies caused by companies, and when you do find out the truth about them, the ones that came to the surface, you always find out it was always about one, neglect, and the neglect usually had a dollar figure about it because dealing with that kind of waste is very expensive. So it always has to do with the bottom line. So, it's great if they're going to produce stuff like that in the United States where we have a demand for it and there's a future for it. But in return, if they're not going to be upfront with everything, including that waste management and, you know, what they're going to do with it, not just for the local thing, the area, not for the local area and the development of homes and all, they should let your area know where that waste would be going if they transport it out. It makes no sense if you're going to take it to another state and pollute that state. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
right.
They should be really right really up front about what they're going to do with stuff like that and the impact on the local water system and animals and whatever else. I mean, because that impacts housing. And of course that'll impact like you were talking about your home value. So maybe having all that development will first increase home values, but if there's some kind of disaster or not dealing with managing their waste rate and doing it correct, and there's some kind of disaster down the line, then that home value will depreciate. So that's a concern.
Very much so.
And you were talking about like the wind farms and all that. To me, I think they're just a waste of time. Uh, the cost of them, the amount of land and stuff that they have to use, and don't they use like a lot of oil and they run on diesel? What are they?
Windmills.
Yeah, isn't there some
There's
product that?
like an average windmill, and I'm sure they're different and depending on which one, and because they're not all the same size and all that. But
Right,
the ones around my area, they're saying that they take 55 gallons of gear oil.
the gear oil? Yeah. So you're saving one way, but you have to make oil.
Sorry about
You have to produce oil, that much oil. It seems like a large amount of oil.
that. Yep,
And how he making that oil? You're making that oil by other means that it's kind of counterproductive to the windmill.
that's true.
You know what I mean? And as far as like things like solar panels and where silver is being used at and all, I'd much rather be concerned do we have enough silver, for like the
Electronic.
medical needs.
Yeah,
And,
that too.
medical needs is very important. Sometimes it's overlooked, but you know, I mean, that's an important aspect of it. Me personally, I have an idea that someone should do, and they should be able to do it really simple. I would like to see small towns, all kinds of places, states start going back to small, independent owned by could be towns or boroughs or whatever, hydro stations that they can make right next to the rivers and streams and lakes that could produce enough electricity just for them towns. like be
Yep,
self-sufficient, and they can make them cheap because you basically need a generator and whatever structure you have to build. I mean, I don't mean building like some big monstrosity. Say you're doing it near a river, they could do it so smart that it becomes like a public park. They could make it beautiful. You know what I
I
mean?
agree.
So
Yeah,
it's you're using the water that's available, the downstream water. You're generating power for your town, and you're also making it into a park and making it attractive for the community to use, fishing, boating, whatever. There's a lot of things they could do, and it's a lot cheaper, I believe,
I definitely agree with that.
and cleaner. Think about it. There's no waste to it. No waste to it.
Not killing birds.
Yeah, you're not doing anything that's going to be
And
that way. And
I don't understand why you would need 55-gallon drum of gear oil when they make bearings now that are sealed and they have a high temp bearing, high temp grease that can contain those bearings for very long periods of time. There's a lot of high maintenance on these things that they put up, and I think it's intentional.
yeah, definitely.
Even the governor of New York State, which they put up a bunch of windmills and along the thruway I-90, and they're finding that it was a big mistake. The amount of money has not even been recouped from the building of these, let alone making any money with them.
Right.
Efficient.
The repair and maintenance of is another
Yep.
thing,
And the
so
failures, they only last so long, and they're finding many of them that have fallen, and problems with the uh, uh, props or whatever you want to call those,
hmm
and that they got to be replaced, and they're not cheap,
right.
and especially the installation of one of those. I can imagine how much one of those would be.
Sure. And the transportation, you ever see them going through town?
Oh yeah, with on a train.
Another joke. All the wasted energy just to get the thing to where it has to be.
That's true.
It's just not good. I mean, I'm not against the science of it. I think they should continue researching on it, but let's not make these big, giant, ugly things. In a way, they're kind of nice looking a little bit here and there, but if you've seen one here or there, it's like an attraction. You put 200 of them somewhere. I don't know. Less attractive.
So China expects major economic growth after ditching the U.S. dollar. Brics founder, China continues its mission to ditch the U.S. dollar with the dollarization initiatives. The nation expects major economic growth in 2024. China wants to stabilize foreign trade, develop investments, enhance its real economy, and increase consumption to do this. They will begin several significant reforms and initiatives, according to Li Hu, an official with the National Development and Reform Commission. Favorable conditions throughout the rest of the 2024 can contribute to these initiatives. China is one of multiple major nations in the world looking to enter a world with the US dollar much less powerful. It has carried out extensive plans to increase its influence in global trade, particularly with its native yuan. Furthermore, the nation is one of the leading gold investors in 2024, hoping to become the lead holder of the precious metals in the reserve. The upcoming Brics currency is expected to be backed by gold. Thus, China is putting itself in a good position moving forward. So China's growth by the end of 2024, they're expecting a roughly 5% increase. This mission on the other hand, is a de-dollarization is certainly possible, but maybe taking longer time than what they had hoped. But now with many other countries applying and also being approved for the Brics nation, and it's going to push the Brics nation's currency, their own currency, uh, quicker. They believe it should have success within this year, maybe early next year. There's just too many things going against the United States right now. One, having it's hard to call him president, a so-called president that there's nothing good that I can say. Our open border policy. He stated it while debating before he became president of what he was going to do. And he made sure when he became president, that is one thing that he made a reality. Open borders, allow people in, stop the border wall from being finished on day one. And the things that have happened to this country because of the people, organizations that come from many countries. It's not just southern Mexico or Venezuela or any of those southern South American countries. They're coming from around the world. Even Ukraine's. A lot of people don't think Ukraine is a bad country. Well, if you look at it, it's one of the most corrupt. And we, the United States, or the Democratic side of our government, and now many of our Republican side are helping out where we don't know where this money is going. There's no accountability where that money that we're donating to that country are going. And now he's stated that he is going to forgive loans that were part of those billions of dollars that have gone over to Ukraine. And
Money
now,
laundering. That's all it
yeah,
is.
there's no one else, no one's showing accountability of any of those funds that have reached their borders from America. Another country officially ditches the United States dollar, which people don't know this unless you've seen it on some of one of the other shows, that the de-dollarization started probably at least 2 to 3 years ago that I know of. And that was when Russia came out and said that we are no longer accepting the US dollar for commodities purchases. And mainly it was oil, which many countries, for as long as you can think of, would buy from different countries using the US dollar. Now they're not any longer, not just Russia. Iraq has come out at the beginning of this year stating that they will no longer allow the US dollar for purchases. And when you think about, something as simple as a TV, someone wants a new TV in Iraq. If you were to look at, say, a $1,500 TV, say it's $1,500, to come up with the same amount of money in a dinar, you're talking, what is it? 25 bucks per 50,000 dinar. So that's a lot of money you got to get together. It's probably over $1 million dinar to buy a TV. Can you imagine walking in with stacks of cash to go buy a TV? So that puts it, when you're buying even groceries, right now with inflation, I don't know what it is over there to buy the normal amount of groceries. You got 200, 300 bucks a week for my family. We have 4 people that we purchase every week, and we're not huge on the best filet mignon and lobster and shrimp and that kind of stuff. We're pretty much laid back. We're hamburgers, chicken, that kind of stuff, and it's still $200+ every week, at least $200+. Now it's just ridiculous. Can you imagine how much it is in a third world country? I'm going to say Iraq is a third world country, just for not that they are. I'm just saying it as a. I'm going to say they're probably more expensive, more or less. I'll just say that for their food. I definitely could be wrong, but when you think about how much you'd have to bring in, probably a few $100,000 or a dinar, few 100,000 dinar to pay for your groceries every week. The average dollar that someone might carry around would be a 25,000 dinar note. So it's going to be, say 12 of those. That's a lot of the big wad in your pocket. So we're really concerned about the de-dollarization, along with not being able to. They're making a law that they can no longer use that in their country for Iraqi dinar purchase. Instead of an Iraqi dinar purchase, you don't have that option any longer. So the U.S. pressing sanctions on developing countries is making them cut ties with the dollar and look for alternative avenues. Brics is filling in the void and helping other developing nations to survive without using the dollar for trade. Sanctions might prove costly to the United States as the world is looking to de-dollarize to strengthen its local currencies and native economies. On the heels of de-dollarization and sanctions, a new country has officially ditched the United States dollar for oil. The decision comes straight from the Brics playbook of using local currencies for crossing border transactions and not the U.S. dollar. Now, that other country is Venezuela. They're ditching the U.S. dollar for oil trade. And they are, as you know, one of the major players when it comes to locations of where to buy oil. Now, what's going to happen, because we use Venezuela to purchase our oil. Now, what are we going to have to use? Are we going to have to use gold? Is it going to be something that's we're going to have to somehow get a bunch of gold together to go buy our oil? I read a report the other day that we're oil independent. I'm like, what? Where are they coming up with that? We just dumped our oil reserves, a year and a half, 2 years ago? And then when we did it, it was supposed to help our gas prices at the pump. And instead, India and China were the major purchases. I'm like, wait a minute. We're told one thing, and then we find out it was something totally different. Oh, yep, that's right. It's our government. Expected. Oh, boy.
It's unreal. What happens if we have a national disaster of some sort or war?
Yeah, if we will go to war, we are not going to be prepared. We've given away our military. I don't know how much military we've given away.
Which country you think ought to help us out?
I don't think any. We look like we're the world police, that we're world bankers, we're world, that we take care of everybody just about. And it's not the case. We only take care of the ones who have helped us keep our corruption and hidden, and so they don't spill the beans on what has been going on and what they know.
Exactly.
I can tell you a lot of reports are coming out with what has happened in 9/11, who was behind it. And there's a lot of theories. And I think if any of that becomes true, there's a lot of people going to be hanging in the streets. And look at some of the countries that have said we're no longer taking the dollar. Well, those were countries that they lost their leaders. Now, we didn't find anything of mass destruction when we went into Iraq. We're talking being bombarded with Iran and also being threatened by Iran right now. You think they'll be next? We'll go in and say, well, we're going to go in and finally take out their bomb issue that we kept saying for many, many years that they have. And we're going to finally go in and take care of that problem and end up being, well, we never found any, but we made sure they paid the price. Okay, great. Thanks. Gaddafi, they're saying that he came out, formally said, we are no longer going to be using the American dollar. And what happened to that country? That country was, yep, that Gaddafi's no longer. That was one of the countries that, let me see if I can get that report. Because that was really interesting. Because that does go along with de-dollarization.
Oh yeah, he wanted to put in which country are you talking about?
Wow.
Egypt?
No. Who was what was the country that Gaddafi was running?
Libya?
Libya, that's it.
He was going to put in a currency based on metals.
Yes. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Omar Gaddafi.
And he was dead.
Yep, they made sure they took him out just as soon as he was talking. Hey, we should do this, and he, they had the best when it comes to what he offered. That country offered free school from grade level on through college. They also offered medical help for anything that you had a problem with. It did not cost you anything. And these are the reports I've been trying to get some information on, but more and more truthers are talking about this. That country knew what the heck was going on, and they knew how to take care of it and take care of their people.
Yeah, he was actually going to put an irrigation system into the desert there for growing food. Another thing another thing he had planned. I mean, he comes off like crazy. I think he was crazy too, but most crazy people have a sense of intelligence to them.
Yeah, they didn't want for much in that country. He found ways to take care of his people. And a lot of people, if you were to listen to our government, that would be nothing that they would have told anybody. I do believe that story will come out soon, and it may even become a something that even your friends are going to start talking about. And because if you talk to your friends about Trump, you might have 75% that like Trump, and then 25% that will never admit that they were wrong for voting for the wrong guy. Whatever happened to Biden saying that he was going to take down Gitmo? One of the very first things. It never even came close. He was going to walk into that office the day of inauguration, and he was going to sign all these executive orders. Well, if that was the case, what happened to Gitmo? Why didn't Gitmo be put down like the wall was, and the pipeline, and oil production, and new leases, and now we have what, a lease that was up in Alaska that he's no longer going to allow. He's not going to extend their lease for that land for oil. Oil coming out of Alaska is huge for the United States. That's one reason why we ended up with that piece of property. Now, Everything that he is doing is slowing the progression of America. It's also causing more heartache with at the pump. What what can he keep doing? He's already in Texas, not allowing new leases in Texas that have been going for many years. Are tell me that's not going to affect the price at the pump, and that's gone up what 20-30 cents in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
I mean, when you look at commodities right now, if you're looking at anything from silver, gold, platinum, palladium, rhodium, could be even something as simple as copper, nickel, aluminum, zinc, crude, they're all going up. That's because the dollar is dropping. Some might not agree with that situation or that statement I just said. But if you watch, I use Kitco. Anybody can go on kitco.com, put the app on your phone, watch it daily, and you can watch and see where those numbers are going. You watch on that same Kitco form, you can watch the stock market, you can watch crypto, you can watch all those metals that I just discussed, and you can get a report and then start watching what's going on. You see, I wish there was something on there to show you what um, the level we're at with the dollar, the purchasing power, but it's not on there. You have to go to other government websites, and it's just depressing. The graph from 1913 all the way to the present day, you would probably cry. But do we have a light at the end of the tunnel? I really do believe that is a possibility. How many countries right now, one, no longer accepting the US dollar? Two, we got the Brics nations with well over 50% of the world's GDP. The world's GDP, that's huge. That means a lot. Is it going to hurt when the crash of the dollar and the stock market and the banks? And in my opinion, of course, with my research, I'm seeing that all these things are happening. It might be a lot slower than I thought. I thought it would have happened about a year ago. It started to tank the first of 2023. I think it's going to finalize probably right about the same time silver starts to bump closer to 50%. Some believe it was supposed to happen Friday. Watching what happened Thursday morning with the futures, I saw futures looking kind of slim, and then all of a sudden they dropped. It was like 600 points down before the opening of the Dow. Seeing what was going on with COMEX and seeing what the availability of silver was very low. Lowest points that we've ever seen in the COMEX. It's a bull market, and derivatives are showing their face. Derivatives, in my opinion, are all fake purchases. You don't own it. You don't have it in your possession. You don't own it. What happens if banks crash and you're like, hey, I want my silver now. Sorry, that's gone. Sorry, you're not going to have that.
I think all them figures are being fudged by somebody. That's for sure.
I do believe it. I mean, the banks, it depends on which bank you're talking about. It might be Bank of America today. They'll purchase or sell supposedly a bunch of silver ETFs or whatever they call them. And that'll bump the stock or the silver market for that day, and then keep the supply versus demand low. Right. So there's, you think with supply, COMEX showing that there's not a lot of silver for purchase, that the price of silver should be through the roof. Because if it has any, some people say it's nothing to do with supply versus demand, but then the next minute they're talking supply versus demand when it's going the other direction. It's like, come on, guys, you can't use it for 1 minute going up and next minute for going down.
Right.
But
That means something else is happening.
yeah,
Okay.
and then Bank of America isn't looking strong any longer. We know J.P. Morgan Chase isn't. He's selling his own stocks, being the CEO of J.P. Morgan. That's not good when you're selling your own stocks and then everybody's seeing it. I mean, it doesn't look like a strong market if your own bank is selling. The owner of the bank is selling their stocks. And when they made it so it would take quite a while for you to receive your money when you tried to go and remove your money, maybe you're like, well, you know what? Keeping money in the bank is not a good thing. Having the U.S. dollar is not a good thing. So maybe buying junk silver. So just in case, I'm going to protect myself and my family, and buy some junk silver so I can buy small items. Take a diamond, get a loaf of bread. It's going to be a percentage of 90% of silver, so it's going to be worth something where the U.S. dollar is not.
Right. And when you go into that bank and you try something like that, they give you a hard time. Well, of course you can question them, but when they say, "Well, what do you want to do with the money?" That should really open up your eyes. What do
Yeah.
you
Why
care what I
does
want to
it
do
matter?
with my money?
Yep. Exactly. Well, there's a process that this goes in, because if it's over $10,000, we have to get involved, or the government involved. Government involved with my money, yeah, that should
Something
give you a concern as
something
well.
stinks, right? When they ask you that.
Yeah,
Something stinks. What's the difference? We're
yeah.
talking money, that's all.
I
Money
would
and an
definitely
amount. Doesn't matter what I want to do with it.
stop.
There's no factor on what you want to do with it.
I tried to tell people, just don't even take my word for it. Do the research that I just told you about, and then come up with your own scenario. You can take Kitco, and like I said, you can watch that. You can watch the stock markets. You can watch the silver. You can watch the precious metals. You can watch the lower metals like copper and nickel and things like that, and you can see what's going on. If those go up, the dollar's dropping.
I mean, there was enough of us. Now, this is just an idea. I'm not making anyone saying that everyone should go out and do this, but think about it. If everyone stopped paying their taxes and everyone made a bank run right now, and we gained control back of everything again, it's that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Give us what's ours, and we ain't giving you the illegal taxes and fees and all that no more because it's unconstitutional. We're done with it. What are they
Yep.
going to do?
And for years, they suppressed electric cars because they were producing so much oil, and they would lose that money that was coming in from the oil. So when they started looking at another scenario of, hey, we could push this global warming issue and make everybody believe that we're going to die in 6 years or 7 years, if we don't do something. I mean, remember all those posts that Al Gore, oh, in 5 years we're going to have lose our east and west coast, and it's going to be all underwater. It's like, here comes the 6 7 years later, and we still have the coast. It
And
hasn't moved.
go back a little bit before that. They said we were all going to freeze to death. We're going into an ice age. So which one's it? Which one is it? I really want
Yeah.
to know which one it is.
And then just as soon as they're saying stuff like that, they're producing movies that give you the same scenario to
Mhm.
freak you out even more.
Yeah,
Is that a possibility?
I
Like
yeah I believe in climate change. I just don't believe it in the way you're thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't believe in climate change because of someone will show you a picture of uh, ice being melted back in Antarctica, and then they'll show 20 years later. This is like early 1900 photos. 20 years later, it's all the way back again. All that ice is back, and then 20, 30 years later, it's the ice is melted again. It looks like to me where this is part of what this world
Right.
is about.
It's a natural cycle.
Yeah. And then when they keep saying we're going to be underwater or the temperature is increased 1/10 of a degree in the last 400 years. Well,
As
first of all, who knew how to test temperatures 400 years ago?
right,
Nature.
as they're buying multi-million-dollar estates next to the water.
Yeah. Yeah. And then fencing it in,
Mhm.
and putting their own walls up. That doesn't,
Knowing that in a few years it's going to be underwater. Right.
yeah, it's going to be underwater.
Come
Okay,
on.
I believe that. Well, I guess you have so much money that couple $1 million on the ocean it's chump change to you, so you can always build another one later. No
Right.
big deal.
But get off on your $1 billion yacht in case it happens.
So they've been telling us to go electric for this, electric for that. We have New York State that's saying that we're not going to allow you to have a gas stove, so we want you to get electric, and you're gonna have to have it before a certain amount of time. And now electric is one of the top priorities of with the global warming issues, and then um, fossil fuel type cars they're gonna have to go away, and we're talking only a few years. Even though, um, guess how the electric is produced to get that electricity to your home that's going to charge your electric vehicle. It's high percentage of it's produced by fossil fuels.
Right.
So you have no plans of how to fix that except for these solar farms that are supposedly producing all this energy when they've showed that they're inefficient. And also they're producing heat for global warming. Which is it? You didn't look into this that well,
Look,
but now,
I have nothing against electric cars. If you want to spend that much money on an electric car, knock yourself out. Me personally, I like to hear my car. I can't stand driving in electric cars. Something freaks me out that I can't hear the engine.
oh
It
right,
really
well,
does
they have
bother me.
ones now that make a noise.
Even the hybrid ones, when you stop at a red light and you don't hear nothing, then all of a sudden they start up. I just don't like that either.
Yeah,
I'm not a
no,
big fan of that. You know,
that to me is corny.
it's just I just don't like it. I just don't like it. So
But now they got a car, not hydrogen, because you've heard of hydrogen that are coming along, and there's something that there's something to them. But
sure,
driving around on a hydrogen bomb or whatever you want to call it, that doesn't sound safe to me. But now they have a vehicle that's going to be running, which I don't know if you've heard this. This is the first I've heard of it, and that's ammonia as fuel for a low carbon spark ignition engine. So it's gonna be a combustion chambered engine, but it's going to be very low emissions. Now we're faced with problems of reducing greenhouse gas emissions and transitioning towards a greater use of renewable energies. Ammonia as an energy carrier is increasingly seen as a potential green fuel for transportation. A particular marine application, however, its combustion characteristics, high minimum ignition energy and auto ignition temperatures, low combustion speed in comparison to use of hydrocarbon fuels are drawbacks that are so far limited its use. Due to the evolution of different pollutants standards for the road, transportation, spark ignition engines, and thus the combustion process itself has been subjected to many changes over the last 20 years. Gas direct ignition downsizing, meaning um, I believe that what they're meaning is the size of the engine, where it used to be, say, a 4-cylinder. A 2.4 liter is an average size engine, but they'll reduce it to like a 1.2, a 1.2, or maybe 3 liter, and then put a turbo on it. And that increases the amount of air, and it also increases the amount of fuel that it can burn. And that thus means it's going to get the power of a 2.4 liter, if not more. Gives you a better performance, a better experience. To me, that was awesome. It's a lighter weight vehicle. CAN bus systems produce vehicles with less weight because there's less wires needed. And if you know anything about copper wiring, copper wire is kind of heavy. So when you have a lot of wire, that weight of the vehicle is going to increase. So what they did was they created a CAN bus system that they're all linked. It's not like the Christmas tree where one of the bulbs goes out, they all go out, and you're sitting there trying to figure out which one it is. It's not that excessive when it comes to less wire, but it is a problem. If you're someone who's trying to work on a CAN system and you're finding that you're just spending more time than you ever have trying to diagnose that issue. That's where one of the problems are. But this sounds like it's an engine burning ammonia is a fuel that we can look at for the future. But according to the Energy Agency, the looks like the IEA, hydrogen will play a key role in the world's transition to sustainable energy future, as it is one of the most promising and clean energy carriers for both transportation and power generation. However, with the even using the best available technology, its density is too low for it to be easily transported and stored with acceptable safety and at a reasonable cost. Since other suitable hydrogen carbon free vectors can be considered, namely ammonia or chemically energized water, which can be not only as hydrogen carrier, but also as a fuel. In a comparative review of different potential hydrogen storage methods, sorry about that. I was
That
wondering
was
what the heck that was.
that was me.
Oh, I thought it might have been a comment. um, can be used not only as hydrogen carrier, but also as a fuel in a comparative review of potential hydrogen storage methods. So this, from what I understand, is a lower power generating type engine, but they are still working on it, and it does look very promising because it is very low emissions, if almost zero.
Yeah, I actually did some research on that. Um, if you just look at the research done and the available things, items that you could purchase to make hydrogen water, it's very easy to make hydrogen just from water, and it's safe and there's no byproduct. Uh, so they could actually adapt that to a vehicle or a motor for for things. The ammonia, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to do that, but here's a good thing. You might want to start keep storing your cat litter. And Big D, get them puppy diapers and hold on to them somewhere. 'Cause you might need that. Might need that ammonia in that
Methane.
in that waste. Please do not throw out your cat and dog waste. Mandate.
Boy, oh boy.
Don't
So,
be
hey,
surprised. It could happen.
yeah, yeah, like the movie Back to the Future,
Yeah.
where they're burning garbage later years. So
Um,
Vietnam, I mean, if you're a foreign currency person as well, I mean, like I said, I'm huge on silver. I do have foreign currencies, mainly the ones that were discussed in the very early talks of the RV, quantum financial system. If you're watching anybody that talks about that stuff on a regular basis, Vietnam Dong is one of the ones that you could still buy at your local currency exchange. At least my local currency exchange. I'm in a small rural area, and there's a currency exchange there. So I'm assuming some of the bigger areas you're going to have a currency exchange where you can purchase VND, Vietnam Dong. So the good news about this is Vietnam Central Bank says it stands ready to intervene in the Forex market. So they are not traded or allowed on the Forex market yet. Same thing with the Iraqi dinar. But with a lot of news coming out about the RV getting close and the quantum financial system, more and more people are believing something's going on, and they want to start buying into this. And if you could still buy Vietnam, the VND, my opinion, don't take my word for it. Do your own research before you go spend money, because it was one of the least expensive to purchase at your local exchange companies, and it has the most upswing.
In other words, it's the best game around.
It probably is, and it, like I said, it didn't cost me a lot. So having a couple million is maybe $100, and it's still worth your money you paid within a few dollars of fees. Find out what the fees are going to be to buy it or sell it. So if things don't go well with it, you can still get majority of your money back. It's right now, the State Bank of Vietnam, the SBV, duty governor, I'm not even going to try to pronounce his name, told reporters that Dong had fallen by 4.9 cents against the US dollar this year. And it sounds shocking, but
I couldn't fall any further.
It's just about worthless right now. You know what I mean? I mean, if you can get 2 million for like $100, you do the math, you'll see that there's not a lot of money there. It's a movement where, in line with other currencies in the region, he said the inflation remains under control. But again, it's, I guess, it's deciding if you want to get into it and which one. And if you do get into foreign currency, I looked at it as, do I want to have a broad range of different currencies? And if I do, are they going to be the ones that the RV say are in the first basket? Do you believe in the RV? Do you believe in the quantum financial system? The man who put this all together sounded like he was really, really intelligent. Unfortunately, he has passed. But if you look into the guy that they talk about a lot, Mr. C, and you look into his credentials and his background and things like that, it looks legit. But again, it depends on the person. If you think, it's not real, then you probably should stay away. But I look at it this way: it's an investment. It's probably nothing different than wasting a few $100s at the casino. You chose to go there thinking that you're going to win, but you also knew it's a probability you're going to be a donator. At least that's how it works with me. I never have really struck it at any kind of casino or spending it on the lottery. You're putting money out for a possibility of something coming your way.
I agree.
So if you look at it that way,
I agree a way you're thinking about it. I really do, and
silver isn't that aggressive as far as I know I'm not gonna lose it. I just might not get as much as I paid for it, but luckily I paid less than for a majority of what I have less than what it is right now.
Right.
Could I get even more? Because I mean, supply and demand, that is real. That is so real that you can find it on the Comex. You don't take my word for it. You look up the Comex, the LBMA, see what the available silver is, and then you'll start to say, yeah, maybe you're onto something. So don't do anything I'm saying I've done. Do your research and make a decision that might benefit you and your family. But one thing that I'm definitely doing is making sure I have enough junk silver on hand. You never know if that's ever going to be needed.
That's true.
That's about all I got, John. Do you have anything you want to talk about? I mean,
Well, really, I didn't have much time. Usually, I have time to do research on certain things, but since my phone went down, I had some computer issues. I've done no research in over about a week and a half, really. So I'm a little behind the times. I was just trying to follow your lead there and see if I can pitch in as much as I can. But man,
yeah,
the crazy thing is, once you're disconnected for a little bit of time there, you don't know what's going on. And if you got to watch mainstream media to get the news, well, boy, that's one sided.
I look at mainstream media and go, whatever they say, I think of the opposite. Then I'm
Yeah.
usually safe.
Yeah, the only thing, the only thing that I did catch this week that I thought was outrageous, and I've been catching it late at night, not doing a whole lot of research on it, just watching some videos and stuff with limited resources I have right now with all my cell phones down and everything. Uh, all the protests in America at the universities, it's an outrage. It's an
Yeah, and those
outrage.
universities are allowing it to happen.
You know what I mean? This is what these people. I'm talking both sides, whatever side. I'm not even talking sides. I'm just saying people at our universities, the ones that are citizens, should know better. The ones that are not citizens but are still going to our schools should get the hell out of town. Okay, they should be removed from them schools. If you're out
I
there,
agree.
if
Yep,
you're out there burning any flag from any nation, especially the one that you're in going to school to.
yep. I don't care if you're
Okay?
from this country or not. You don't
Yeah.
burn this flag.
Right, and there should be no student who has to fear for their lives. There should be no professor who has to fear for their lives. And on the flip side of that, there should be no professor taking any sides on the madness that's going on or backing the madness that's going on too.
Oh, yeah,
They should
yeah,
be taken out
definitely.
too.
Or our Congress
Yeah. When I
taking
mean taken
sides.
out, I don't mean taken out. I mean taken out of the school, out of there.
Yep.
That's what I mean. I mean the craziness. If you get any video of it or you watch it on the news and you see some of the signage and some of the things that they're chanting, and then you see when a reporter actually has a chance to get a word in and ask them questions, most of the time they don't even know what they're screaming about. They have no clue they don't even know what they're doing there. And it's
Yep.
all screaming. You notice how it's all screaming, hollering, misbehaving, breaking things, smashing stuff, hitting people over the head. Uh, it stopping highways, and it's
To me, it looks
crazy.
like people that are being paid and
Making tent,
organizing.
making tent cities and all this. It's crazy. There was a lady being interviewed about just this thing, all the different types of signs and what they were repeating, and and she was asked, "What do you think about this?" And the funniest it made me laugh. She goes, "Well, you know what? I really don't understand any of that and some of the signs." And she goes, "Well, the one sign that I read, I really don't understand it, and it was queers for Palestine." And everyone started laughing because I don't even understand that.
No.
Okay, like, so these universities, I mean, they got to stop that stuff. Both sides, everything. I'm not choosing no side. It just shouldn't be happening. You could protest, that's your right, You shouldn't have to cause chaos.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Or death to
Get more
certain.
military in there, or more police officers. Get it done.
I mean, they're verbally threatening students and and professors. They're literally threatening them in so many ways, be it in the signage or blocking them in the halls or surrounding them or telling them they shouldn't be here. That's a threat. That's not protesting.
Nope. Definitely agree.
And especially, like I said, I have to emphasize on this, the ones that are learning, they come to this country to learn in our universities, who are not citizens. If they are caught doing that, you immediately take them out of school and deport them. They don't have the right to be here.
Not if they committed some type of crime. I mean, this is just crazy.
It's got to stop.
Most of these cities that that's going on, they're going to be arrested and they're going to be released right back into the neighborhoods again,
Right.
and probably never seen again. They probably quit school, and that wasn't for me anyways. It was my way out and go out with a bang.
No.
And it might not even be part of the schools.
Exactly. So, and that's the other thing. They don't really know how many of them people are part of the school or not part of the school, but they're on the campus. So how they get on there? Know what I mean?
That's not going to be. It's like
It's obviously organized somehow. Like some of the tent cities, all the same tents. What, did everyone go to the same store? All green tents, all blue
organized.
tents, whatever. All the same thing. Come on.
It has to be organized. Has to be. There's no
Right.
way they got the same tent.
Yeah.
Same
Organized.
shape, size, color, everything is
Yeah.
identical.
Organized. When we say organized, we don't mean organized by the students. We need organized by someone for the students.
Yeah, maybe George Soros, maybe.
He's your buddy. Don't worry about that.
I know. We're going to have dinner. We're going to brunch tomorrow morning.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
This makes me sick.
Yeah, that's the only thing that really aggravated me as far as the news is concerned. Everything else is theater.
We can hope for hopefully our currency to stay strong enough so we aren't living on the streets in a couple months.
Right.
But
maybe our government will stop sending money to different countries to further wars. How about we start staying out of other countries' business? So none of this stuff happens over here. Let's start worrying about ourselves. Let's worry about our own people. Let's secure our border so we can be, sovereign nation. Let's start producing items and things for us, and then we can help other people out. I don't know.
Too many lies from our government. That's the problem.
Something needs to be done. It's got to be. It's getting out of control. It's getting out of hand.
Very true.
That's all I got to say.
Well, thank you, John, for stopping in again and helping out.
Well, thanks for having me.
We had quite a few people over on Rumble. I think I seen 10 at one given time.
Yeah, I didn't
YouTube.
I didn't sign in, so I couldn't see. I don't see anybody from my end. Actually, I got knocked off there for a minute or two. So, well, it's a start for you. So, appreciate you having me on.
All right, guys. I do appreciate everybody that stopped in, and please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification if you're on YouTube. If it actually did go through, I just never seen it go live. I'm not sure what's going on there. There's always one or the other one,
Yeah, there's some kinks. It'll work itself out.
Yeah, you got a few minutes there, John?
Yeah, I'll stick around for a bit.
All right.
All right, take care, everybody.
Like, share, subscribe. Have a great day.